You were born free. At least that's what they told you. But the moment you signed your first student loan, the moment you financed that car, the moment you took out that mortgage, you signed away something far more valuable than money. You signed away your freedom. The modern slave doesn't wear chains. They wear credit scores. And here's the disturbing part. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't bad luck. This was designed. Every single piece of the system you live in was engineered to put you in debt and keep you there. Because a person in debt cannot say no. A person in debt cannot take risks. A person in debt cannot walk away from a job they hate, cannot start that business, cannot speak their mind. Debt is control. They don't need whips anymore. They have interest rates. And today, we're going to expose exactly how they did this to you and what you can do to break free. The debt blueprint. Let me take you back to a moment that changed everything. 1971. Nixon takes the dollar off the gold standard. Suddenly, money isn't backed by anything real anymore. It's just paper, just numbers on a screen. And what happens when you can print unlimited money? You can lend unlimited money. The banks realized something profound that day. They didn't need to have money to lend it. They just needed you to believe you owed them. Give me control of a nation's money, and I care not who makes its laws. This wasn't conspiracy theory. This was business strategy. The entire financial system was restructured around one simple premise: get everyone into debt as early as possible and keep them there for life. Student loans for 18-year-olds, credit cards for college students, mortgages marketed as the American dream. Every milestone in your life became an opportunity for them to trap you. Trap you early. The blueprint was simple: make debt feel normal, make it feel necessary, make it feel like the only way to live. And we fell for it. But this was just the foundation of something much darker. Education scam. Here's the cruelest part of the trap. They told you education was the path to freedom. Go to college, they said. Get a degree, they said. You'll earn more, they said. What they didn't tell you was that the cost of education has risen over 1,000% since 1980. 1,000%. Meanwhile, wages, they've barely moved. Rigged. Think about what they did to an entire generation. They convinced millions of 18-year-olds, kids who couldn't legally buy a beer, to sign contracts for $50, $100, $200,000 in debt, before they'd earned a single dollar in their chosen field, before they even knew if jobs existed in that field. And here's the kicker. Student loans are the only debt you cannot escape through bankruptcy. You can lose everything, your house, your car, your business, and still owe that student loan. They made sure you could never escape the first trap they set. If you're starting to see the pattern here, hit like and subscribe to keep exposing what they hide, because what comes next connects all the dots. The education system wasn't designed to free you. It was designed to put you in debt before you even started your life. And that debt would follow you everywhere. The housing lie. Now let's talk about the biggest lie ever sold to the middle class. The American dream. Own a home, they told us. It's the best investment you'll ever make. Build equity. Leave something for your children. Sounds beautiful, doesn't it? Now let me show you the math they don't want you to see. You buy a house for $300,000. You put down 10%. You take out a 30-year mortgage at 7% interest. By the time you pay it off, if you pay it off, you've given the bank over $400,000 in interest alone. You paid more in interest than the house was worth. You didn't buy a house. You rented money for 30 years. And during those 30 years, you couldn't quit your job. You couldn't move to a better opportunity. You couldn't take a risk on yourself. Because every single month that mortgage payment was waiting. Trapped by payments, as the philosopher Seneca understood 2,000 years ago. Slavery resides under fine clothing. The suit you wear to that job you hate, that's your fine clothing. And the mortgage is your chain. But wait, it gets worse when you see how they keep you spending. Credit card trap. They couldn't get you to stay in debt with just education and housing. So they invented something brilliant. They gave you a plastic card that lets you buy things you can't afford. And they called it freedom. Credit cards are the perfect debt trap. Think about the psychology. You don't feel pain when you swipe. Studies show people spend up to 30% more when using credit instead of cash. The pain of paying comes later, much later, with interest rates that would make a loan shark blush. Average credit card interest rate in America right now, over 20%. Some cards charge 30%. That shirt you bought for $50. If you only make minimum payments, you'll end up paying over $100. They turned every purchase into a decades-long payment plan. And here's the genius part, they give you rewards, points, cash back, miles. They're training you to use the card more, like giving a rat a pellet every time it presses the lever. Rewards are bait. You're not the customer, you're the product, and your debt is their profit. But these individual traps are just pieces of a much larger system. The wage cage. Now we arrive at the true purpose of all this debt. Control over your labor. Think about it. When you're in debt, you cannot negotiate. When you're in debt, you cannot say no. When you're in debt, you cannot walk away. That mortgage, that car payment, those student loans, those credit card bills, they add up to one thing. A number you have to hit every single month just to survive. And that number keeps you showing up to jobs you hate, working for bosses who don't respect you, in companies that see you as a line item on a spreadsheet. Trapped. You want to start a business. Too risky when you have payments to make. You want to take a year off and travel. Can't do that with collectors calling. You want to tell your boss what you really think. You wouldn't dare. Modern man is a slave to the paycheck. They didn't eliminate slavery. They made it invisible. They made it feel like your choice. The cage door is open, but the bird won't fly because it forgot it has wings. And if you think this isn't intentional, let me show you who benefits. Who benefits? Follow the money. Always follow the money. Who benefits from a population drowning in debt? Banks make record profits on interest payments. Every dollar of debt you carry is revenue for them, not once, but continuously, year after year. Credit card companies generated over $200 billion in interest and fees last year alone. $200 billion, but it goes deeper than banks. Corporations benefit from desperate workers who can't afford to quit. Governments benefit from citizens too busy working 3 jobs to pay attention to what's happening. The entire system benefits from keeping you scared, keeping you compliant, keeping you obedient. This is why nothing ever really changes. As George Carlin put it, they want obedient workers who are just smart enough to run the machines, but dumb enough to accept their situation. You are a more reliable revenue stream when you're in debt. You are easier to control when you're in debt. You are a better consumer, a better worker, a better citizen when you're in debt. Debt is the new religion, and compound interest is the god they worship. And speaking of religion, let me show you how they made you believe this was normal. The propaganda. They didn't just create the debt system. They created a culture that celebrates it. Watch any commercial. What are they selling? Not products. They're selling the idea that you deserve things now. You deserve that vacation now. You deserve that car now. You deserve that kitchen renovation now. Buy now, pay later. Delayed gratification, the one skill that actually builds wealth, has been systematically attacked by decades of marketing. Buy now, pay later, because you're worth it. Treat yourself. YOLO. They even made debt aspirational. Big houses mean success. New cars mean status. Designer clothes mean you've made it. But here's what they don't show you in those commercials. They don't show you working that job you hate at 65 because you can't retire. They don't show you the stress eating away at your health. They don't show you lying awake at 3 a.m. doing math in your head. The things you own end up owning you. Every advertisement is a battle for your mind. And most people don't even know they are in a war. But understanding the propaganda is the first step to breaking free. Now let's look at how this system perpetuates itself across generations. Generational chains. Here's the darkest part of this whole system. It's designed to perpetuate. You grew up watching your parents stress about bills. You absorbed their relationship with money before you could even count. Financial trauma is inherited. Financial habits are inherited. And financial bondage is inherited. Children learn from watching, not from what parents tell them. When your parents couldn't afford enrichment programs, tutoring, or college savings, that affected your opportunities. When they couldn't take career risks because of debt, you saw that. You internalized it. You learned that this is just how life works, learned helplessness inherited, and now you're teaching the same lessons to your kids, not deliberately, not maliciously, but inevitably. Because how can you teach abundance when you've only known scarcity? How can you model freedom when you've only known chains? Cycle. This is how dynasties of debt are created, not through force, through example, through a system so pervasive that questioning it never even occurs to most people. As the Stoics understood, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality, but the suffering of debt is very real. The question is, how do we break these chains? Breaking free. So how do you escape a system designed to trap you? First, understand that awareness is the beginning of freedom. You cannot fight an enemy you cannot see. Now you see it. Second, stop playing by their rules. 1. Live below your means, not at them. 2. Build an emergency fund before investing. 3. Pay off high-interest debt aggressively. 4. Say no to lifestyle inflation. Third, and most importantly, redefine what success means to you. That house you think you need. Maybe what you actually need is mobility. That car you think you need. Maybe what you need is freedom. Freedom over things. The minimalists understand something the advertisers don't want you to know. Less stuff means less debt, means more options, means more freedom. A man is rich in proportion to the things he can afford to let alone. You don't need to make more money. You need less stuff. Every dollar of debt you eliminate is a link removed from your chain. Debt freedom is not about deprivation. It is about liberation. But there's one more thing you need to understand before you can truly escape. The final truth. Here's what they fear most. A person who doesn't need them. When you don't owe anyone anything, you become dangerous. Not dangerous in a violent way. Dangerous to a system that depends on your compliance. You can say no to the job that mistreats you. You can say no to the purchase that would enslave you. You can say no to the lifestyle that society programmed you to want. Freedom, that's real power, not the power to buy things, the power to walk away. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the ancient world, wrote, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." A Roman emperor understood what modern advertisers don't want you to know. Happiness is not for sale. Freedom is not for sale. And both become possible the moment you stop playing their game. The debtor is always subordinate to the lender. But here's the beautiful truth. You can choose not to be a debtor. Every day starting today. One decision at a time. Your choice, your freedom. The chains are real. But so is your power to break them. They made you a debt slave. That's the truth. Through education designed to indebt you. Through housing marketed as dreams but functioning as chains. Through credit cards that feel like freedom but cost you everything. Through a culture that equates consumption with success and debt with normalcy. But here's what they didn't count on. You waking up. You seeing the pattern. You deciding that enough is enough. Knowledge is the first step, but action is where freedom begins. Every empire built on debt has collapsed. Every system designed to enslave eventually faces rebellion. And that rebellion doesn't require violence. It only requires people who refuse to participate, refuse the debt, refuse the consumption, refuse the lie that you need things you don't need. The secret of happiness is not found in seeking more, but in developing the capacity to enjoy less. If you made it this far, comment "debt-free mind" to prove you're ready to break the chains. Because freedom isn't given, it's taken. One decision at a time. Every government lies, every bank lies, every advertisement lies. The question is, are you still believing them? The truth is out there. You just have to follow the money. Subscribe if you want to keep digging.